polyethylene molecules. And that changes, that's how you can grow this chain. Okay, so again, what's happening is that this alkene is converted to a very long alkane. And this is an example of an addition reaction. Now there are two types of polyethylene, HDPE and LDPE. What structural feature determines the properties of each type of polyethylene? So is it going to be the branches off the main chain which affect the density? Is it the carbon-carbon single bonds that affect the softness of the substance, or is it the long hydrocarbon chain that affects the melting point? Okay, so note that in one case here, here's one type of polyethylene. Is this long chain? Another type of polyethylene is a long chain, but there's branches off the chain. Now, when you physically look at a piece of plastic, you actually don't just see one molecule. You see many molecules, and these molecules are stacked on top of each other. So the stacking of those molecules on top of each other affects the properties of the substance. So for example, let's say you have 3 of these long chains stacked on top of each other. Let's compare that to 3 of these chains stacked on top of each other. Which one can you stack closer together? Yes, you can stack this one closer together. Yes, this stack close together. This one. Because note that these branches off the chain affect how close these molecules can get to each other. So as a result, which one would have the higher density? This one or that one? So you're saying that, what did I say? This or that? So is it this one has the higher density, or that one has the higher density?
This one.
Okay, so one on the left or the one on the right hand?
I'll do that on the left. You're right.
Yeah, so the one on the left. You're saying this one has the higher density. Yeah, so you're right. This has the higher density. So which one do you think is the high density polyethylene?
The chain.
Yes, the long chain is the higher density. Yeah, so properties, this is harder, this will be softer, again because of the density. So really, A is the answer, branches off the main chain will affect the density of that substance. Okay, let's go on the next slide. This is with nylon. Now, nylon is another type of plastic. Here is the structure of nylon. So you have, what's this functional group here? Yeah, that's the amine functional group. And we discussed earlier, how is an amine functional group made? From what 2 functional groups can we make an amine? An amine and an acid. So it turns out that nylon is made from this compound, hexamethylene diamine, reacts with adipic acid, and that forms this long nylon chain. So what type of reaction is this reaction to make nylon? Is it a condensation reaction, or the reverse of that, the amine hydrolysis, or is it an alkene addition reaction, or is it an alcohol oxidation reaction? Yes, it turns out this is condensation. So again, you take the amine, it reacts with the acid, and it's going to form the amine. So this is called the condensation problem. Polyethylene is an example of an addition problem. Okay, so those are a few reactions that we look at. Those reactions are actually pretty common in making the products that we use. Okay, so I'll post this slide on the Chem1B website. Let's go to the next one. Oh, this is about biomolecules. So, a lot of you are studying biology, and you're familiar with these biomolecules. So I've classified them by carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. I've shown the elements or the atoms found in each type of biomolecule. I've also showed the functional groups found in each type of biomolecule, as well as some functions. That carbohydrates is usually used as a fuel. Proteins as a fuel is also other functions of proteins. Can you name another function of protein? Enzyme. Yeah, enzyme. Fats or lipids are also used as fuels, are also used as protection. And nucleic acids, first note that they're not really classified by functional group. There's 3 parts to nucleic acid: a sugar, a base, and a phosphate group. And the function of nucleic acids are transcription and protein synthesis. These are actually the 2 functions of DNA. Also listed in this column, whether those biomolecules are polymers. So note that carbohydrates are actually examples of polymers. So if you take a look at table sugar, that's actually a simple carbohydrate, which is a chain of 2 of glucose and fructose. But when you look at starch, starch is actually a very long chain of glucose molecules. So that's actually an example of polymer. The bond, or the name of the bond which connects the sugar molecules together, that's called the glycosidic bond. And actually, that's an example of an ether functional group. Okay? For protein, we looked at this before. So when amino acids connect together, they form a polymer. That polymer is called the protein. That bond, which connects the amino acids together, that's called the peptide bond. That's that carbon-nitrogen bond. Lipids are very big molecules, but they're actually not polymers because they're not actually repeating groups of the same substance. Okay, so these are actually not polymers. Nucleic acids are polymers. Okay, so they're long chains of nucleotides. Each nucleotide consists of a sugar, a base, and a phosphate. And then the bond which connects the nucleotide together is called the phosphodiester bond. Phosphorus oxygen bond. Okay, so I'll post this in this slide also on the website. So, okay, let's go on the next slide. Biomolecules are important in life, and maybe what we'll do, since I want to make sure you have enough time to take your quiz, we'll cover this next Tuesday in class. But let's take your second quiz of the semester. It's an open book and open notes. In this case here, you don't want to talk to your neighbor in regard to the answers to this quiz. Talk to your neighbor after the quiz. Okay, so here's the quiz. You don't have to write down the question on your sheet of paper. Just write down your answer on your sheet of paper. And if you're done early, please turn your quiz.